إبراهيم هذا pain on his knee. أيوة ادعيله ربنا نعيم يخف ربنا نعيم يصلي وهي واقفة
يا رب ليها فتوتي شيء صلى الله عليه وسلم. So in last class we talked about the masah in the socks, and we defined in the word khuf versus the regular socks we are using today. One thing we didn't talk about, the things that nullify the masah or make the masah, not working. So there are three things. Everything nullifies the wudu, nullifies the masah. Okay, that's number one. Number two, exceeding the allowed time for masah. If you remember last time we mentioned for the regular person, so he can do 5 prayers with masah, and for the one who is traveling, he can do 3 days, means 15 prayers. When I say 15 prayers, I mean 15 obligatory prayers. And the third thing is to take off your socks, or to be torn off for some reason. So taking off your socks, so that means the masah is not valid anymore. So what should you do? Should you repeat the wudu from the beginning? That's better. But according to Shafi'i, you also can wash only your feet. So you make wudu for Asr, for example, and you do masah on the khuf, and then after you prayed Asr, after 1 hour, 2 hours, you took off your socks, your khuf, and then it's time for Maghrib. You didn't break your wudu, you didn't do anything else to break your wudu, but that was the only thing. You take off your shoes. So in this case, washing your feet is sufficient in this case, because doing the arkan of wudu in sequence is not a condition according to Shafi'i. It's mustahab, it's sunnah, but it's not obligatory. So if you wash your feet, that's fine. If you do the wudu, that's better. So inshallah today we are gonna talk about the tayammum, and if we have time we will talk about the mandatory and desirable causes of wudu, and by that we will conclude everything related to the wudu. So tayammum, Prophet ﷺ, in the famous hadith, he said, I was given 5 special things no prophet before me was given. So one of them, Prophet ﷺ said, جُعلت لي الأرض مسجدا وطهورا. So the ground is the source of tahur. So we can do the tayammum from the ground, from the dust of the ground. So we have 6 points to cover about tayammum today. So the first one, when can we do tayammum instead of wudu? How to do tayammum? Pillars of tayammum, the sunan of tayammum, what can be used for tayammum, and the last, when is the tayammum nullified? Okay. So the first point, when can we do tayammum instead of wudu? 4 cases or 5, so we can count 4 or 5. So number 1, no way to find the water. Okay, so this is number 1. There is no water around. So like, so you can do, like, you do your best and you don't find the water. So it's not like a number, like a distance or something. So no way to find the water, or so this could be number two. So the water available is too little, and it's only, so it's used for it's necessary to use for drinking, so in the trip or in a camp or something. So the only water available is for drinking. So if we use it for wudu, you won't be able to find some water to drink. Or for example, the old cars, usually they need water. So, and we are traveling, so this water is needed for the car. So if we don't put water in the car, will be damaged or something. So in this case, that's also considered there is no water. So this is number one. Number two, the water cannot be used due to illness. And there are three conditions. So one condition is, so the person is not sick, but if he use the water, he will be sick. Or the person is sick, if he use the water, he will be more sick. His illness will get worse if he use the water. This could be anything. Could be, a wound in his head or any kind of sickness. And the third is, the person is sick, and if he use the water for wudu, his recovery will be delayed. So in these three cases, so he's allowed to make tayammum. Number three, the water cannot be accessed or reached. So for example, someone went to a masjid in the way, and the masjid, there is water inside the masjid, but the masjid is locked. And now if he waited till the people come, the next prayer time will be there. So they will come then in the next time prayer, and he will miss the Asr. Like he came after Asr, between Asr and Maghrib, and the masjid is locked. So there is no way to find the water, and the people are expected to come, for example, in Maghrib. So in this case, he's allowed to make tayammum. So the scholars in the older books, at their time, so they give some other examples. So if there is a wild animal in the street, so that as a barrier, like the animal is a barrier between you and the source of water or something like this. But in our time, so more practical examples are something like that. So you are locked up, so you cannot reach the water for some reason. And number four, so the price of water is much higher than the fair market price. So how to gauge that, or how to understand that. So like for example, in the grocery stores, the the bottle of water is, let's say, 30 cents or whatever. In the gas stations, it's $1. In the stadium, it's $5. So let's say the water is being sold for $20. So this is too much. So the average is already $5, in the stadium, for example. So if they are selling it for $20, which is away from the fair market range, so this is too expensive. So in this case, also the tayammum is allowed. So we'll come back very quick to the first point. There is no water at all. Okay, that's clear. So there is no water around. So you check with the neighbors. You check here, you check there. You try to go to some place close by, like 5-10 minutes by the car or something. But there is no way to find the water. So the tayammum is allowed. So in the other case, so the second option is, there is water, but the water is very little. So in this case, you can use your judgment. So is the water enough to do the wudu, and also and only do the fard, the pillars of wudu, without doing the sunnah? Yani wash only the the arm and wipe the head and wash the feet or do masah on the khuf. So is the water sufficient for that? So we can use the minimum, amount of water and do everything only one time. So if this is possible, so we should do that. So if not, so the water is very little and it's only for drinking, and otherwise the people will be in danger. So let's just keep it for water and do the tayammum. And the other option, especially in traveling. So alhamdulillah, nowadays it's much easier to get to the water, a source of water, even while traveling. But in case it's a bit difficult to get the water, it's better to combine the prayers than having to do tayammum for the next prayer. So if you have the water is available now and you are expecting the water not to be available after a few hours, it's better to combine the prayers Zuhr with Asr and Maghrib with Isha. Right? So the second thing is how to do tayammum. حاسب كده يا قلم؟
داري ممكن ساعة.
حاضر. So the second thing is how to do tayammum. So tayammum, so you have to have your sleeve up, right? And then, keep your hand clear of, anything, the watch, the ring, whatever. And then do 2 times on the ground like that. And then wipe your face. And then another time. And then do your arm from here to the elbow here, as if you are doing the wudu. So you do masah, the whole arm here and the other arm like this. Okay, this is the tayammum. So the pillars of tayammum are 4, right? The intention, wiping the face or scanning the face with your hands, and then your arms, and this is 2 and 3, and number 4, to do that in order. To do them in order, not to do the arm first and then the face, but you do the face first and then the arm. So this is according to Ash-Shafi'i and many other scholars. There is another opinion, right, which is very, very, very easy. So the opinion of Hanabila. Yes. So it's only you do you tap in the ground and do your face, and then do your hands only, the palms of the hands, not the whole arm. It's so it's easy either way. So it's better to go with the majority who said do the whole arm, except if there is some situation like, for example, an old man, he has a very tight sleeve and no one to help him to do tayammum, and he cannot put his sleeves up, so he can go with the Hanabila. After that, the sunan of tayammum. Sunan of tayammum is to say Bismillah before the tayammum, and to say the niyyah, the intention with the tongue. And the last thing is to do everything in sequence, like not to do the face and then wait for 10-15 minutes and then do the arm. And again, it's very easy sunnah to accomplish, so let's just do everything all together. So when we say sunnah, so we don't say sunnah to avoid doing it. So sunnah is more rewarding, so you take more rewards. But we say the sunnah just to clarify, if you don't do it, so your tayammum is still valid. Okay, the second question is so this one, so what can be used for tayammum? So the main thing, and according to the majority of the scholars, so what can be used for tayammum is the dust. Okay, so you can use the dust. We can
You say dust, it means sand, right?
So the sand, I was gonna mention the sand now. So dust
Sometimes you can
or
see
yeah, or sand. Okay, sand is allowed too. So we can use the dust or the sand. Some other scholars said you can use also, besides that, you can tap on any uh, item or anything that has some sand, on a pillow or on some cover or anything that has some sand. I mean, sorry, not sand, dust. All right. So, as we said, in many cases, what prevent the person from the wudu is being sick. Not, no, so finding the water is much easier, right? But being sick is the major thing, especially this, in our situation. So this sick person may not be able to have an access to the dust or some sand. So what should we do first? What we can do first, we can bring some a pan or something, have some dust or sand and give it to him so he can use it and tap on it in case he needs to do tayammum. If not, so he can use anything like any pillow or anything that has some dust on it, according to some scholars. So some scholars, so their evidence was Ibn Umar radiallahu anhu was in a trip with some other Muslims, and on their way they had no water, and it rained, and after raining, so the whole the ground was very muddy. There was no source of either sand or dust. So they told them to tap on their the things that they have on the camel. So anything have dust, they can tap on it and do the tayammum. So from that, the scholar said that means it's permissible to do that.
What about وتيمموا صعيدا طيبا?
Yeah, Sa'idan Tayyiban. So this is the interpretation of Sa'idan Tayyiba is the dust, turab, Sa'idan Tayyiba, or the sand. So this is the interpretation of this ayah, according to the majority of the scholars. So can we use? How about the porcelain, the glossy marble, ceramic, glass, all these things? The vast majority of the scholars said we cannot use them for tayammum. Very few mention about them, but the vast majority said we cannot do that.
Can I ask one question? I know the question should come at the end, but dust or sand, does it also mean anything which is from the earth? For example, if it is cement, if it is a rock, like not the sand, but if it's in the rock form or a stone, big stone, piece of a stone.
So if it's the stone is not polished and in the factories or whatnot,
Yeah.
so we can
use
use it. So the next thing is when is the tayammum nullified? So the tayammum gets nullified in 3 cases. One is everything that nullifies the wudu nullifies the tayammum, automatically. So we discussed everything nullifies the wudu in the class number 6. So the second thing is we know if it exceeds the time permitted for it. So if I made the tayammum for Salat al-Dhuhr, for example, so I made the tayammum to pray Dhuhr. So and I prayed the Sunnah, the 4 rak'ah before Dhuhr, and then I prayed Dhuhr, and then Sunnah after Dhuhr, and then I prayed Istikhara, and then I prayed Salat al-Haja, and I do Sajda Shukr, and I prayed Janaza. Do whatever you can, whatever you want, until the time of Asr. Once the time of Asr enters, so your tayammum is nullified. You have to repeat your tayammum for Asr prayer, and so on.
So if you make a door, you can do nawafil of door after door with the same time.
With the same time, we can do as much nawafil as you want after the Salat al-Dhuhr. From Dhuhr time until Asr time. Once Asr time is entered, you do another tayammum for Asr prayer. So this is a
prayer we have to do.
every fard prayer we have to do the tayammum. This is according to Ash-Shafi'i and also the majority of the scholars, except for Imam Abu Hanifa. Imam Abu Hanifa said the tayammum is valid, until you find the water. Okay, and the other thing is, so we mentioned whatever nullifies the wudu nullifies the tayammum, and then when the time of the next prayer comes, that nullifies the tayammum. And the third is إذا وجد الماء بطل التيمم. So if the water became available, the tayammum, is invalid right away. The tayammum is nullified right away. Even so, if someone is praying, so he make the takbiratul ihram, and he started his prayer, and then he heard the sound of water, like the faucet or whatever, or someone came and say, "Hey, alhamdulillah, you found some water." So this prayer, so the best thing is to complete the prayer out of respect, but this prayer is invalid. Okay, you have to, after you finish, you have to make wudu and do the prayer again. If that happened in the middle of the prayer. So if you cut your prayer and went to do wudu, that's fine. But more respectful is to complete the prayer and then go and do wudu.
So that's case in you are in congregation.
Yeah, in congregation or individual. Yeah, the same thing. So if you are praying in congregation and someone said, "Hey, the water came back," and we hear that in our prayer, so we finish the prayer just out of respect. But this prayer is invalid, and then we do wudu. If we are in a hurry, we don't do that. We don't want to do that. We can leave the prayer right away and go and do wudu. But the first option is more respectful for the prayer. But nothing wrong with the second option. So the other thing is, if we finish the prayer and we just finish, and we are in the Azkar al-Salah, making istighfar, reciting Ayatul Kursi, and the water just came in. So what should we do? Should we do the wudu and repeat the prayer? So we don't have to, but it's sunnah to do so. Two Sahabas were praying, and the same situation happened to them. One of them repeated his prayer, did wudu and repeated his prayer, and the other didn't do anything. So they both went to the Prophet ﷺ. He told the first one, "You did the sunnah," and he told the second one, "Your prayer is valid." So both were okay. Yes.
Well, friends, I just wanted to ask you about traveling. Like, 'cause I do contracts far out and when to meet Casa and combine the prayers.
Yeah. So I'll come back to the question after I finish. So yeah, I think in by this we covered everything in tayammum. I hope I didn't miss anything. So one thing to mention, yeah, is when should we do the tayammum? Yeah, this is an important point. So we have to start the tayammum after the time enters. Like if it's time, so the time of dhuhr is very soon, right? And it's like dhuhr time starts at 1 o'clock. So we can't make tayammum 12:30 or 12:40. We have to wait until 1 o'clock, and then we do the tayammum. So otherwise, it will be, nullified. Again, except for the opinion of Imam Abu Hanifa, he is the only one who said you can do tayammum anytime, and it's valid all the way until the water becomes available. So who can use this fatwa of Abu Hanifa? So everyone can use it, of course, but it's better to go with the majority, unless there are some conditions. Like for example, it's Jum'ah prayer. So Jum'ah prayer, so the person is an old man or something. He has some illness. He cannot use the water. So he usually does tayammum, and he has to get ready for the Jum'ah prayer. If he waited until the Dhuhr time to enter, so he will miss at least the beginning of the khutbah. So he can do the tayammum before the time and then go to the Jum'ah easily. Allahu A'lam. Do you have time to do or that's enough for today?
Okay. Can you just share with us? Can you display again the sequence of tayammum?
Tayammum?
Yeah.
Okay. So the way of tayammum. So let's imagine this is the surface of the ground or the turab, the dust or a dusty rock or anything in this nature. So we will tap twice like this, and then tap in our face. So the faces from here to here and from here to here. All of this has to be covered, and then tap again, and then do the right arm with the left hand, and then the left arm with the right hand.
We don't tap again for the left.
No, we don't. No, just one for the two arms. Okay? And then before we start, we say Bismillah, of course, and have the intention. Allahu A'lam.
So my question is about, I mean, we may come across with those family members who are very old, sick, and bedridden. Not at home, but either in rehab or intensive care unit. And so it means, and they cannot make wudu while they are on the bed because they are bedridden. So do you suggest that we should bring some sort of rock or something? If not dust, I mean, it's difficult to find dust in Maryland anyway because we have so much grass here. So, because what usually people don't know, what they do is that they just do tayammum on the mattress there. I mean, the bed there.
That's
Like-
what I was told as well. Okay, scientifically speaking, dust is everywhere. So even this carpet, if you vacuum it, it has dust.
Yeah.
So that's where it's. I don't know. Does it have to be
So it's better
visually
to bring
dusty?
something
You can
which is
visually
like
see it,
earthly,
or-
right?
So
To them.
so does it have to be dust or a rock or something like that? So again, as we said, so many scholars went this way. However, some scholars said we can use anything that has dust, which is anything would have dust, as you mentioned, like any piece of clothes, any like pillow, something like that. So he can use it or can be used, for tayammum. And the hadith, which is evident, is there. So Ibn Umar radiallahu anhu, the thing he did. So this is what he did with his companions when they were in that. So it can be used, and there is a rule in in the usul al-fiqh, in the essence of fiqh. It says من ابتلي بشيء مما اختلف فيه فليقلد من أجاز. يعني if someone is in a situation and he has to go with the easier opinion, which there are different opinions, so he can go with the easier opinion who said it's okay, it's permissible. لا يكلف الله نفسا إلا وسعها. So it's one of the essence of fiqh. So like and this is in many, like as you mentioned last time about the khuf and what is khuf and what is socks and who said socks is permissible. So we can use, if someone has to, so he can use the socks and follow the ones who said it's okay, even if the majority said it's not okay, but still some scholars, some respected scholars said, yeah, Hanabila,
Because there are
and
13
they are mainly Hanabila who said it's permissible to use the
Just
socks.
one more question. Again, those of our like relatives who are bedridden at the hospital, especially in the ICU or in rehab, they are usually not in the condition of cleanliness. They are in the condition of najasa because they use urinal, and it's the nurse who brings the urinal to them. And they sometimes, I mean, the nurse, of course, doesn't care about cleaning it water or even with the toilet paper, and it's difficult for them also. So in that condition, when they are in the state of najasa, can they do tayammum and it's gonna be valid, or they have to first make sure that they are clean?
So there are two different things. So
Okay.
the tayammum doesn't do something. So
You use tayammum to purify yourself from janaba.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Okay.
So basically, it replaces both wudu and ghusl. Okay.
so the when we so we will have the intention, so we can say same exact. Yesterday was once not to جزاكم الله خير اللهم انت رحمة الله بك وبين صدقك